Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? Well, we all do. It's been programmed into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, relationships, and our whole lives. Joining me today, I have two fantastic coaches. I have the amazing Jessica Hammock, a trauma specialist who helps people understand what trauma really is and how it shows up in the body. She's amazing at breaking it down in ways that make total sense. We also have the fabulous Amanda Beth Johnson, an intuitive Theta Healer who works with the subconscious mind and energy field to release old patterns and bring people back into alignment with their true selves. Together, we're going to talk about the real benefits of doing the inner work and share some simple, practical steps you can take today to start your own healing journey. I'm Kristy Boyd Johnson. I'm an educational consultant, and I have spent literally my entire life experiencing the emotional trauma from starting with a narcissistic father and on into my adult life as a teacher, witnessing how trauma can shape a child's confidence, learning, and relationships all the way into adulthood. And what I've learned is this: when we leave these wounds unacknowledged, they don't just go away. They show up later as anxiety, people-pleasing, burnout, and even self-doubt that we can't quite explain. But the good news, healing is absolutely possible, and it changes everything. So as we jump in, I would like to start with talking about, we're going to talk about the benefits of healing, but I think we're going to start with what happens if we don't heal. So Jessica, let's start with you. From your perspective as a trauma specialist, what really happens to us when emotional trauma goes unacknowledged or unaddressed?
Yeah, so our bodies are absorbing woundedness that our spirit or our heart part experiences, and it can alter the connection but in our mind because we have different brain waves that communicate between our spirit and our soul. In our soul, our mind, will, intellect, and emotions, and back to our body. And so a lot of people think that time has passed, so maybe I don't feel the intensity of the emotions. But if we're not going to release those emotions and process what happens, our body still holds on to it, it absorbs it. And so essentially different emotions that surface from a trauma perspective are absorbed into different organs and into our fascia, into our circulatory system, our lymphatic system. And over time, it creates this dis-ease and flow because our organs aren't able to flush things out or move through it appropriately. So, for example, a lot of anger is stored in the liver. And what I tell people is like, how do you know if you have like unresolved anger? Because they're like, I don't feel angry. Well, one of the key things is if you're waking up a lot between 1 and 3 a.m. And some people are like, oh, I'm perimenopause or I'm menopause or I drank too much before bed or this or that. Well, if it consistently happens, it doesn't matter. All of those things, your body will still rest through that time period. And so I say, if you're consistently waking up between 1 and 3 a.m. a lot, my first question is to you is, who are you mad at? Or who have you had anger to in your past? Because once you release that anger and resolve it, the liver is actually able to process what it needs to. I say it's kind of like little street sweepers go through our body at different points of the day. And they're trying to clean up all of your liver processes from an emotional standpoint and work through everything. And so if you're waking up, that could be a sign that you're having some unresolved anger from a situation that you went through from a trauma. And your liver's not functioning the way it needs to. Well, then when the liver backs up, all these other processes in your body don't work well. It's dis-ease in your system. And, there's studies and research to say that up to 80 to 90% of ease in the body, diseases and syndromes can be traced back to wounds that haven't healed emotionally.
That makes total sense.
Yeah,
And
it's a lot when you think about this idea that I could have some unresolved emotional things, and if I work through those emotions and process, I know many personal stories of people who work through the emotional component, release the emotions, process that from an emotional standpoint, and their system heals. Their body heals itself naturally.
so there's many ways we can do that healing. Yes. So,
Yeah.
Amanda, let's have you jump in here, because as a theta healer, intuitive healer, you can help people process through that on a certain level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that we do that on an energetic level. And so as a theta healer, my job is to co-create with your higher power to release those free-floating memories about the event and the trauma that happened with that. So a lot of times people will come in and they have a health issue, and Louise Hay established some of the best parts of, if it's in your hip, it's a past life thing. If it's, where it's located in the body. Bladder is another one where anger holds in. And I know, my own personal experience of going through theta and relieving so much of the anger, because what got me to the point of looking for healing was the overwhelming anger and just discontent with life. And when I started the healing process, I had a very long list of prescriptions. I don't have those prescriptions anymore. And some of it, I think, is also how we word that and everything. But as a theta healer, we work on those emotions because, the other book, feelings buried alive never die. If you just keep pushing those feelings, and certain feelings are associated with certain diseases and the body system. And so when I look at those systems and I look at where your energy is blocked, then we know what feelings, we when I do an energetic scan of someone, I look at where the biggest block is. And then we look for the emotions that are stuck there. And people don't have to relive the trauma, because I think that's a big hindrance with a lot of people going to traditional therapy, as they want you to keep talking about it over and over and over again. And, it's not understanding it deeper. Your brain is already molded over so much. It's about acknowledging it and being in a position that you can let go of it. Doesn't change that it happened, but you no longer have to feel it every time you think about it, which I think is one of the greatest things. And so we do that on an energetic level. My role as a theta healer is I drop into the theta state. You don't need to. And then I witness that co-creation of having these things released for you with your higher power. So I'm co-creating it for you after you and I identify what it is you are ready to let go of.
So what come as a survivor of many years.
No, not survivor. Not survivor.
What? Thriver?
Thriver. When you
Thriver.
are a survivor, you are still in the thick of it. You're still going through it. You're in the mush. When you're thriving, you've gone beyond it and you're moving on with your life. When you're surviving, you're still being held back. You're still repeating that history. So yes. So, and Kristy, I know you. You are thriving past so much of so many things.
But I do have a question for both of you, because what happens for me is that I peel back layers, I clear them, I work with both of you on things, and then I feel better, but then I get to a new level. And I feel like it starts over again, although I know up here it's not starting over again. I have come so far. But so how do we get people to understand that that's part of it? Is we're not, shallow, superficial things that can just be wiped off with a cloth and be done. So
yeah. So my perspective on it is, I think that our our body energetically is, first of all, ready for certain things to heal in safety. And then there's a recalibration period. I tell people, like, our bodies have to catch up with work that our spirit and soul does. So if there's a recalibration period, it's kind of like anchoring in a new habit or a new skill, just in generally in life. Like, we learn something new, we have to have that recalibration, that practice of it, the enjoyment of it. And so when I think of it, I think of like layers of safety. I'm elevating through a new phase of recovery, right? And so sometimes it's easier to equate emotional things to like a physical thing. If you've broken your ankle, for example, and you're in that sort of more survivor mode that we just kind of mentioned from a broken ankle standpoint, there's a recovery phase that you go through that might be in a boot or a cast. Maybe you had crutches, you had therapy. So you might feel coming out of it, you're recovering that physical portion of your body, right? Well, maybe the doctor dismisses you and said, okay, you're recovered, right? Most people at that point don't go run a marathon. They might practice walking down the street and back, right? So they're anchoring in a new level of safety for their recovered ankle at that moment. Now, if we visit with them 6 months, a year later, maybe they're actually walking a 5K. So they still may not be running a marathon, but at some point there might be like, I'm ready to run a marathon. Well, they might still feel some unstableness in their ankle, maybe if they start running versus walking. And so it's a level of recovery and anchoring in. And the same is true with our emotions and our mindset, all those things. We're recalibrating to our current level of safety. And then everything's like, okay, we're ready to activate our next level here on this life, whatever that is. And there may be our spirit, our soul, I look at it as that says, okay, but there's something else that's standing in the way of us doing that. And so now we need to work through that or heal that portion. It doesn't negate or take away anything you've done in the past. In fact, it's the foundation that you stand on to be able to have the strength to move through and release and uncover what is there so that you can do what's in front of you in the best version of yourself. So that would be my perspective on it. But Amanda probably also sees things in her practice as well.
She does, I'm sure. But I love that metaphor. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
To think of it in terms of, and then, once you're as you're going through that process, you don't beat yourself up and go, I should be further along.
Right.
So
I find so many people make allowances sometimes for physical conditions that they are not willing to make for mental, emotional conditions. And I just did this training inside of a different program I'm in, and that's kind of how we correlate. Because when we say, for example, when you say, what would be practical help somebody would need for a broken ankle? And then people are like, okay, well, take them a meal and open the door and walk their dog and all that stuff. And I say, what about people who've come through trauma or dealt with a mental or emotional condition? And they sit there blank stare. And I'm like, it's the same thing, the same kind of care and practical support you would allow yourself to receive for something physical is the same type of care and support you can use on any level of your healing journey, and what you're ready to receive, what your body's ready to energetically calibrate to at the level you're at. And you can receive the same thing and you can give yourself the same care. But we have a block sometimes up here that prevents us from being able to receive what we need.
So true. It's unfortunate, but that's something that I think we're changing now by bringing it out into the light and giving it some air. Amanda, what about you when you theta heal? Do you find you have to kind of go through levels or?
Oh yeah, definitely levels. And we pick on that poor onion. You said you peel back the layers and you peel back the layers, and under every layer is another layer. And so as you heal what you are ready, you heal what you're ready to receive. And that may go down 2 layers. It may go down 3. It may go down half a layer. Kind of depends on what you're looking at. And if you look at life as being spokes on a wheel, and then we'll throw in Fibonacci because it's a fun thing to say. There's that whole spiral. And as you go through that, every notch on that is going either deeper or more expansive, depends on which way you spin your spiral. But as we approach it. And if you think back, you go, oh man, I already dealt with this. I already dealt with issues with my brother or my neighbor or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, you did. You polished up the surface and you dealt with the first thing. But then the more you think about it, or the more you dwell on it, or the more things come up to that surface to be peeled back, you're going at it at a deeper level. Because I don't believe that we ever clear the same thing more than once. We may approach the same topic, but it's at a deeper level. And as we go through life and we're, ascending greater and greater and greater by going deeper and deeper into ourselves, into our makeup, and into our own understanding. And we can't clear things or address things before it's time. So it really comes into, what is a person ready to do? And so when I do sessions, I do sessions. Some of my sessions are 20, 30 minutes, and that's all the work a person is able to do that day. Sometimes my sessions can go 90 minutes. It depends on what the person is available. There's not a set time. And there's not a set time on your healing. And that's what I think is really, really important. And I had a conversation earlier this week about grief. So it's one of those things. We all experience it, and society puts a time limit on it, and that is not where we need to be.
Speaking of time limits, I know we're going to go deeper into this, but first we're going to take a little break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. It all starts with your body and a little help from light. Place one LifeWave X39 patch on the body. Apply the patch to clean, dry skin in the morning. Patches may be worn for up to 12 hours before discarding. Keep well hydrated while using this product. Harness your natural potential. Reclaim youthful energy. Live long, live well, live young with LifeWave X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
The time has come for us, the parents who want more for their children and the teachers who want to love teaching again, to band together and stop the coercion and control and the crazy-making boredom. How? By making learning a joyful experience in a relaxed environment. By supporting and encouraging kids, not forcing or tricking them. Meet Kristy Boyd Johnson and the Barefoot Learning Club membership. Go to www.barefootlearningclub.com and find out more. Together, we can raise a generation of wildly capable and happy kids.
Have you encountered a situation or an event in your life that's caused you to feel stuck? You were on a journey to live your best life, but thoughts and feelings from the past keep showing up and has caused you to feel like you're not headed in the right direction or being the best version of you. Meet Jessica Hammock, trauma recovery and transformation coach. Not only will she teach you about emotional and mental health, she's here to help you unwind the treasure of who you are from the trauma of your past so that you can walk in the truth of your identity and break free from what is holding you back so you're able to nurture the best version of who you're meant to be. The time is now. Let's get started.
The time is now. Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show, everyone. We were just beginning to touch on what Amanda was saying about, we were talking about different levels and it may be a different layer. And I started thinking over the break, I would like to talk about what are the myths or misconceptions about healing trauma. And Jessica, you touched on it a bit with the idea that we'll make allowances for someone who has a broken leg, but we won't make allowances for someone, say, who's experienced a death in the family or something. So what are some of the myths or misconceptions that kind of keep us trapped? What do you think?
Oh man, that's kind of a loaded question. I think it's a little early in the morning to be.
Hey, we go deep here on the Chronically Healthy Life show.
I would. Here's actually one of the biggest ones I hear about trauma is people are like, I don't have any trauma because I grew up in a house where I had two parents and I have a roof over my head and I had food on my table and nobody ever hit me. So, I'm going to let that land for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reality is when we think about trauma, not as a mental disorder, but as an injury that injures our nervous system, everybody can be injured. And an injury can look the size of a Band-Aid, and it can look the size of a losing a limb size. So there is this spectrum in which our nervous system is injured. And obviously, if we have a cut on our arm and we've put a Band-Aid on it, it's going to heal much faster than somebody who or it's going to heal differently even than somebody who's lost a limb. So, and what I tell people is we can all go through the exact same experience, and how we go through it, our individualized nervous system, our past experiences and our background and our all these other factors play a role in how we sustain injury. Excuse me. And so comparison is really a killer in this stage, in this space of healing, because we think, well, we shouldn't have had an injury. It doesn't matter anything else other than, do we have the injury? Is our nervous system sustained dysregulation? And so does it result in a set of stories we tell ourselves? Does it prohibit us from moving forward? There's all these different things. But the difference is, if we have a bleeding cut on our arm and we're like, oh, no, I'm not going to treat that. I grew up in a home where we just didn't have Band-Aids. I mean, just suck it up and deal with it. We'll be fine. It'll stop bleeding at some point. Like, we're not going to say that to ourselves or to somebody else for that matter. Be like, let's apply for some care. Let's wash the wound. Maybe we need to put something on the wound, maybe like a salve or a Neosporin or something, or maybe we need to get a Band-Aid. Like, let's take care of it. But we don't treat our nervous system the same way, our emotional dysregulation. And that's where, our mental faculties and our emotions, that's where the trauma is stored, but our body absorbs the impact of it. And so that, I think, is the biggest myth. I know it's a big generational one. And so you have some of the younger generations that are now like, everything is trauma. Well, epigenetics speaking, they've absorbed the trauma coming down through the timeline of people who didn't process it. And so they feel like everything is super traumatizing to them. So there's like this pendulum spectrum, right? But I think acknowledging that it's an injury and injuries can heal is the biggest start to this process from a time component.
I love that. I love the way that you put it in terms that make it really clear. Like, we just don't think that way normally. So that I like that. So kudos, Jessica. That's an amazing gift to be able to put something in a way that makes, I get it. Amanda, so do you have, when you're working with someone, using the metaphors, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that it is important to first off identify that every trauma is different. We all go through things differently. It's based on how we learned trauma, you know, and the epigenetics clearly play into that. But looking at how you were raised to process feelings, and then stop crowdsourcing your feelings. Okay, own your own feelings. If you feel depressed, sad, angry, happy, joyous. Don't forget the good feelings too. We get the good
Yeah.
feelings in there too.
Yeah.
Don't compare it to your neighbors, your friends, your besties, if they didn't live the same life you did. And if we take this back to the whole trauma is an injury. You know, I remember just thinking when we think of it that way, the way you deal with the trauma today, and the same thing could happen again in 5 years, 2 years, 2 days. How you deal with it the next time around is very different than how you dealt with the first time. If you didn't deal with it the first time, if you didn't acknowledge that it was an injury, if you did not heal those wounds, if you do not address those emotions, then it's going to be harder to deal with it the next time something similar or the exact same thing happens. And if you've processed it well the first time, and most of us don't process our feelings because we've been told they're just a feeling, get over it. And it's not a get over it, it's a get through it. And I had another thought and it ran away, but how you do it is very individualized. It's individualized to you and your process and what works for you. And that is one of those things that we need to give ourselves credit and continue to bring back to the idea that trauma is an injury. And the trauma you experience may not be the trauma that actually happened to you, but witnessing your friends going through a difficult time, that's a trauma too. You got some of that too. You're not going to feel it as deeply, as intimately. And so looking at how you process it and what you bring up to things. And so that whole doing things, and so when I work with people and they tell me about an event in their life, and we talk about how did it feel to you? What is important? And one of the things that we do in our digging is asking, what's the worst part of that? What's the worst part of that? What's the worst part of that? Until we get down to what the real emotion is that's holding you stuck there and continuing to process the trauma. Because until you let go of it, you're going to continue to process it. And the more you stuff it, the more you deny it, you're just stuffing it into a pressure cooker. Because when it does come out, it's going to come out big. So looking at what emotion are you feeling, and before it becomes a trauma, look at all the emotions you feel. It's like, man, I am really happy today. Where did I get this happiness from? Why am I thinking that this is a happy day? Identify it. I'm really sad today. But look at the emotions that keep coming up and identify where they're coming from to see what action you can take there. And when we, if we take this back to the physical ailment, one day you wake up and you have a sore throat. The first thing you think of is, where did I get this sore throat from? Who have I been around that has a sore throat? And if we look at our emotions the same way, where did I get this joy? How do I get more of it? Where did I get this sadness? How do I address it? Just like we track down a sore throat. So that's my take on it. But yeah, trauma is very different, and it's based on how you were raised. I was raised in a medical household, so we can talk about medical procedures and everything at the dinner table. Company would come over and they were all like, "Ooh, we don't think we need to eat right now." And so, and that's not necessarily trauma, but it was traumatizing to my friends to this. So what's trauma to one is not necessarily trauma to the other. So stop comparing yourself. Stop crowdsourcing your emotions.
I love that. I've been talking to so many people lately who have particularly have a narcissistic parent, and they're in a phase of breaking the pattern of that. And one of the things they're doing is saying no more. And if you're not going to be, setting a boundary that I deserve to be respected. And if you can't do that, then you have to stay away. And, but then they still have to process.
Mhm.
And so they want to talk, and it does help to talk to someone who has been in a situation that they have experienced something. It's never the same, but it can be very similar. Just like experiencing the death of, say, a sibling, anyone who has experienced something like that would understand. So, but
can I just say, Kristy, I think that's where people start. That's a starting point. We connect to each other through stories and through shared experiences. And we love to know that we're not alone in things. And so there is nothing wrong with using that as a starting point. But I think I want to challenge the audience to think beyond just that point. Because so many times, I love the words Amanda used about crowdsourcing. I'm going to definitely add that to my collection too. But we look for those shared experiences, the commonalities, because we desire to not be alone in our experiences of woundedness. But most people at that point then take advice. And I tell people advice is telling someone a specific course of action to take, versus taking reassurance. And reassurance is this idea of being able to remove a person's fears. So giving them a comment or a statement or something to remove their fears, like, I'm here with you, you got this, you can get the healing you need, let me connect you with somebody, is different than saying, hey, listen, you need to do this, this, and this, because this is what worked for me. Well, what works for one may not always work for another. And that's where people then can get really messy for people, because we're looking for that sort of like commonality to get to healing. We found the commonality in the woundedness or the experience. Now we want the commonality in finding the healing pathway. And so I would just really encourage listeners that just because your great aunt or your uncle or your second cousin or your third friend or your mom or your kid told you have to do it this way, or this is what worked for me, doesn't mean that needs to be true for you, that you need to find the best path for you. And there's a lot of modalities. So if you use something and it doesn't produce the healing you're looking for, don't stop, because healing is possible. But listen, I'm not going to go to a cardiologist for a broken ankle. But if somebody tells me they had pains and they went down the street to this cardiologist, I'm like, oh, maybe that's where I need to go, because I need to feel better. We don't do that with physical health conditions. And that's why I bring it back to that, is because it kind of connects us differently. Sometimes one modality or one specialist is not where you're going to go for a different type of woundedness. So finding the practitioner, there may be some people that start with me and move to Amanda. And there may be some people that start with Amanda and move to me. And they're like, now that I got my whole life figured out, I need to figure out how to work with my kids. And then they come to you, right? And they may start coming to you because I need to work on this parenting thing and my kids stuff. And you're like, no, you need to go see Jessica or Amanda first. And then we'll, right. But we don't think about that the same pathway. We just take collections and stories and shared experiences from other people. And then we really get frustrated, or we think we're broken because we went to the cardiologist for a broken ankle and it didn't heal our broken ankle.
I totally agree with you. And to take it even up another level, we have to get over this idea that there are gurus out there who know more than we do. You gotta always, you know more about you than anyone else. So you have to listen to your heart and your mind together about what path to take that's going to help you out.
And that's one of the things I talk to people about too. When I worked in the medical office and people would come in with pregnancy and they always had their pregnancy stories. and the first thing I would say, well, I can tell you what happened for me, but you're not doing my pregnancy. This is your pregnancy. You are an individual. This is your bond with your child and how you process this and what happens for you. Treasure it, honor it. Don't make it somebody else's. This is not your aunt's or your mom's or your sister's or my pregnancy. Go live your life. And that needs to transcend in. It's one thing to kind of check in with some things. Is this normal? But if you haven't done anything normal in your life, then don't rely on those people's normal standards. And don't ever give up on yourself. Keep pushing. Life, there is so much to be had in life. And if you're not finding yourself waking up every day and excited to be on a podcast or excited to meet with clients or excited to go to work, then I encourage you to look inside and see where you can connect to bring that joy back to your life.
I love that. And on that note, we're going to dive in after this break into these benefits of healing and some practical things we can do right now that can get us started. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
She looks like she has it all together, but inside, she's exhausted, disconnected, and asking, is this really it? I'm Amanda Beth. I help visionary women shift from burnout to embodiment, from survival mode to soulful success. Especially because we've been emotional caretakers. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of others. We can't. Through intuitive healing and aligned strategy, I guide them back to their power so they can lead with clarity, confidence, and calm. How does it feel, Kristy?
You know, that's so funny. I just had this wave of lightheadedness and then like something lifted off my shoulders. That's how I felt.
This isn't about pushing harder. This is about rising with purpose, prosperity, and peace.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. I'm joined today by Amanda Beth Johnson, intuitive Theta Healer, and Jessica Hammock, a trauma recovery and transformation coach. And we are going deep into this topic today about the benefits of healing trauma within yourself. And first step, of course, is to acknowledge that you've had trauma and not shove it away. Like, as Jessica said, if you had a broken foot, you wouldn't just shove it away and go, oh, that's not real. It didn't really happen. So as we dive in, we just started to touch on some of the benefits. What are some of the huge benefits you guys have seen in people who have started really digging in and clearing out these traumas and starting to really heal?
I will say one of the things that some people really don't think about in a trauma journey, like they want to see these big shifts, right? And I'm here for the big shifts. I think they're amazing. But what I see that I celebrate probably a little more are the little things that shift in their life that they didn't maybe realize. And so it's kind of like one of the clients is like, I did everything like fast all the time. Like I was always rushing around as if I was in danger or somebody was watching me, even like wiping the counters down. Like I had to get it done. Until one day I realized like I have time and space. I can wash counters a little slower. I can do things at a pace because my nervous system is safe. The other thing is making individualized choices. I had a client and we talked about she never had permission in a very traumatic relationship on how much shampoo she could use. And she said, my shampoo, I had 1.5 pumps. That's what I was allowed. And in her healing, her trauma, her identity, and who she was, her breakthrough moment was she's like, one day I just pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped until like she had that moment, right? Because we started talking about permissions to do the little things. But she said, I found the amount of pumps of shampoo that served me and felt good for me. And so it's those little things that we do on a day-to-day basis that we don't realize are a result of woundedness and injury, that now we can make those choices in safety, emotionally, mentally, and physical safety that allow us to enjoy who we are, the individual that we are and what we need. Now, some of you might be like, that's a little ridiculous. Well, I would challenge you to think about what things are you doing in your life? Just be more aware of the day-to-day actions. Is there something you're doing that you're worried or came from a place where you had to do it this way? Like somebody told you had to do it this way in order for you to feel safe, or you adjusted things you do just because you wanted the emotional ease of the environment, especially coming out of those narcissistic relationships or environments. We do things to keep the peace, to keep ourselves safe. So look at all of your actions that you go through without a day, a week, a month, a year, and check, is this something I'm doing because it feels safe and good to me? Or is this something is a habit I've learned because I had to do it when? And so that's a good marker for me of things from a healing standpoint.
I love that. I would like to just interject really quickly for our audience. If any of you are in a place where you are not physically safe or your children are not physically safe, get help immediately. Do not wait, because those situations don't get better. So, and you need real help, like whatever that may be, 911, whatever that may be, get help immediately if you're not physically safe. And, well, I personally feel if you're not emotionally safe too, but physically safe takes precedence.
Yeah, we want our audience to definitely be safe. 211.org. If you don't feel like you can text somebody or call somebody because the environment you're in, 211.org is a search engine site for the United States, and you can search through a bunch of stuff on a browser that may not be as conspicuous or as evident. So if you're searching for shelters or locations that help victims of experiencing different types of abuse, 211 can point you to the closest one for your county and your regional area you live in. So you could start there, and it's kind of, you can look up a variety of resources. So if somebody is questioning your search history, there's a variety of things you can look up there. That's what I'll say.
Can also go to your local library and use their computers. That's what I did to hide what I was looking for. But anyway, let's get back to some of the positive benefits of working through this healing. Like, Amanda, do you have any interesting, I think you've got some interesting stories about people who have moved through real trauma.
Yeah, moving through the trauma. And I think the first thing is talking about that safety. Yes, you need to have that physical safety. Without that physical safety, you're not going to be able to even begin to look at the traumatic or the more emotional things, and just know that those emotional things are critically affecting your physical health. And as you work through those things, you'll be able to make less medical doctor's appointments. Oftentimes you can reduce your prescriptions. You can, you're healing from the inside out, and to identify with your body where you need to heal and where you need to go. So first thing is finding that safe space. And that safe space comes from interviewing different coaches, different therapists, different doctors. Don't go where you're not comfortable. I've gone to doctors before and it's like, yeah, I don't think we believe in the same things. You don't have to stay there. You don't, and as far as most of the coaches with the Chronic Health Collective that's closely affiliated with Chronically Healthy Life, most of us are going to offer you a free 30-minute discovery call. And that's like, so you can ask the questions, does this person vibe with you?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, that's okay. I am not everyone's cup of tea, and you need to figure out where you feel safe, who is offering the judgment-free zone for you to just be. And sometimes, you don't, and you're not broken. You're never broken. You do not need fixed. You need heard. And I think that is one of the beginning places, is finding a place that you can be heard, judgment-free. And I'm sure that all three of us can tell you, we have heard some doozies. But, and most of a lot of my beginning work in social work was in crisis. So I've heard and seen a lot of different things, and that I feel allows me to, allow you to be in that space. And that's where you need to find, when you wake up one day and you realize you really want to do things differently, you want to be that happy person that you're meant to be, finding that place. So once you are in a place that you're physically safe, now find a coach or someone. And your friends are great and they're wonderful and they're there at 3 a.m. for you, but they are going to have a hard time, most likely. We'll just have therapist friends. They're going to have a harder time allowing you to process your traumas, your issues without their advice. And like Jessica said, the advice is, get over it. It only took me 3 weeks to recover from that. Come on, you can do this. Yes, they're encouraging you and they mean well. They really do, but they don't always allow you the true healing that you need. If nothing else, go to your coaches and then you can go back to your friends and go, wow, that was really cool. Keep them for that. But just find what network you need to be in. And some of this may come from a congregation or meetings or wherever you need to have the support. But if they're not supporting and allowing you to grow, that's not the place for you to be. And sometimes as you learn and grow and you become more comfortable and you become more confident, you become more who you are, your circles are going to change. Your friendships will change. You're not going to be going to the same places and having the same thing. Doesn't mean you'll never look back, but you're not going to spend the time there because you're going to see what makes you you without all those restrictions that we've allowed for one reason or another.
Yes. Well, what is something that maybe we could all do right now, maybe today, since it's, or tomorrow, and just like to start kind of digging in or start a process. Sometimes we do ask our friends for advice. I've called Jessica and asked her for advice on, hey, where can I look for this? And she's steered me in a really great direction. So sometimes advice is good in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But what could we do with ourselves right now to start kind of a healing process if we know, especially when we know we're waking up between 1 and 3 every morning and maybe I got some liver anger in there that needs to be cleared out?
Well, I think just creating the awareness, just simply become aware of who you are, where in every environment. Is this comfortable? Yes, no. Do I want more of this? Yes, no. Creating that awareness. What do I want to change? And sometimes we don't know what the change is going to look like, but being willing to accept that unknown, if it's uncomfortable here, it's going to be uncomfortable going into the unknown, but knowing it's going to be better. So just looking at, creating awareness. Are you happy? Are you not? What things bring you happiness and what do you want more of? And so I think that awareness is the first thing. And then I'm going to say, go to some I ams, do that mirror talk in the morning. I am amazing. I am wonderful. I love me, and start building up your self-care. So, and Jessica, I'm sure you have a bunch.
Yeah. My 3-part strategy for anybody in any level of any healing journey, trauma or not, is write it out, talk it out, move it out. And so writing out, some people do great with writing. That's why we put that there. And I don't mean like journal writing. I mean, take a blank sheet of paper or a sheet of notebook paper and just write out all the things, the good, bad, and the ugly, what you're thinking, feeling, believing. The point is to get it out. When you think about, if I said to you, hey, Kristy, I'm going to give you this brand new house. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. And show up on this date. I'm going to give you the keys. And you show up and you go to move in and it is full of dust and cobwebs and dirty furniture and all this other stuff. You're going to be like, I'm not moving into this, right? You're going to clean out the space. And so before we can set ourselves up to walk in that safety, sometimes we have to clean out what's there. And that's the unresolved communication piece of things. So writing it out is a way of like cleaning out the gunk that's stuck in us from those emotions. But some people are like, I hate writing. Like writing is not my thing. And I'm like, okay, let's talk it out. And I know that a lot of people feel this barrier of finances and sometimes connecting to the right person or the timing of it. But let me tell you, like 99% of the world has this great thing. It's called a cell phone. And this is where you start actually in talking it out. You take out your phone and there's a little thing in it called your voice memos. It's a little button and you hit record and you talk about the thing. Don't talk to your friends. Don't talk to other people. Start by just talking out loud as if you're talking to that person, place, thing, whatever's got you upset, worked up, sad, fearful, angry, all the things. Just start talking. Some people find it really cathartic to sit in their car and do this. Just don't do it while you're driving down the road, okay? That's not safe. But once you talk it all out and let yourself be angry and cry and say all the things in the space. But here's the thing about it is your mind and your heart don't know that that person is not sitting in front of you. It thinks you're actually giving yourself space to say those things. Now, the real trick, though, Kristy, is you have to delete it when you're done. Don't be sending that thing to anybody, okay? And then I say move your body afterwards. After you've done a writing or a talking, you want to move your body. And it can just be some gentle stretches, some moving around. It could be walking. You may have so much energy. You're like, I am going for a run, man. Whatever level of movement serves you and your physical capacity. But the thing is you have gotten communication words and emotional energy that needs to be released out of your system. And so you might have your awareness, you might be paying attention, or you might hit an awareness and you're like, I got to get this out. Like I gotta, what's next? Write it out, talk it out, move it out.
That awareness that I have something to deal with, then write it, talk it, move it. And that will start anyone on a path. That is brilliant. You guys, I knew you guys were going to be brilliant today.
I do the garage talk. You pull your car into the garage, you shut your car off, you close that door, and that's your little secret haven where you can cry it out. No one's coming out, rushing out because they think you've got groceries to carry in.
Yeah.
It's
okay. and make sure you turn the car off.
Turn the car off. Turn the car off. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Before we close, Jessica, how can people find you?
They can find me on my website, vibrantvoice.life. I'm on social media platforms as Jessica Vibrant Hammock. And then they can also email vibrantvoice20@gmail.com.
Okay. And Amanda, how can people find you?
I am at amandabethhealing.com. If you do /Linktree, that'll get you to all the quicker links on all the socials. Most of it is Amanda Beth.
All right. And me, of course, barefootlearningclub.com is my website, or you can email me at barefootlearningclub@gmail.com. All right. So thank you so much, ladies. You are brilliant and fabulous. And every time I talk to you, I'm more and more impressed with how amazing you guys are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Kristy.
Yeah.
Coming on the show. All right, that's it for this week's Chronically Healthy Life show, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're honored to be part of your journey toward healing, hope, and longevity. Join us again Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time on e360tv.com, on the Vitality TV network, or on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life. You can also check us out at our website, chronicallyhealthylife.com, where you can find out more about what we do, get a free 30-minute consultation with Andy and with any of our coaches, any as you choose, and you can check out our brand new skincare line. Until next time, stay vibrant, stay strong, and stay chronically healthy.